Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. Week 16, is that right? Yeah, week 16. It's been a weird week, Andy. People have basically called it a year. I think there are relatively few people who are still dialed into, getting work done in the year 2023, but that's fine. We are still here to go through 16 games. Oh my God.
I have a confession. I'm jealous of the cubicle dwelling fucking cog in the big conglomerate this week, because you guys are legitimately 3/4 of the office is gone. You don't really have to answer emails. You can push things off. You're half-assing it. My week is just as busy, if not busier. There's Saturday games. I'm gonna have to do an extra newsletter for that. I'm gonna have to fire off extra football takes during Christmas.
Yeah, you have a job that many people would.
I was going to say, yeah. Let's
trade places
let's
for.
Caveat that with that. I love my job. My job is so much fun. I get up in the morning and I just throw down thoughts about football, and then in the evening I spend my time talking to you. I get drunk and I get on streams and talk half times with you. It's such great fun. But this is the one time a year where it's the fucker. Everybody's just making jokes about why would you send me an email? I'm not answering this for 2 weeks, you stupid fuck. No, I'm very much sitting through meetings and going through my regular work routine.
Yeah.
I even did a golf newsletter today.
I had one of the more tilting things come up today where somebody panic emailed me yesterday, hey, I need this. And I was like, if I don't get this done tomorrow, I'm literally not getting it done till January. So I'll bust my ass and make sure I find a time to do it today. Send it, and I get an out of office reply. It's mother.
Does this person have a home address that you know? That seems like a flaming dog poop.
Wow, yeah. Wow. But it's all good. Let's talk some football. It's a weird week, Andy, because we have games
thoughts for the week.
Well, we have games on Thursdays, 2 on Saturday, a bunch on Sunday, and then 3 on Monday. And what's funny is with no buys and with so much up in the air, you would think that there would be 10 games or 10 matchups where it's I can't wait for this one. Oh my gosh, this game, this is high leverage. This is so meaningful.
So you're wrong. I mean, you're dead wrong. There are so many high leverage games for playoff positioning. So you're half wrong. There are so many games that are high leverage for playoff. They're just not intriguing at all.
They're just not intriguing, right? Or
you're right. You're wrong. There's so many teams that are in the thick of it for these wild card spots, but the games still suck.
Yeah, and so many teams where if your quarterback was healthy, how much would you pay to see a healthy CJ Stroud against the Browns defense on the road? That's kind of a perfect storm of seeing if what Stroud can do in a playoff environment type of situation. Can he bounce back from the way he looked against the Jets? We're not gonna see him. It sucks. There's a bunch of that kind of stuff up in the air. We're not going to see a healthy Trevor Lawrence against a Bucs offense that all of a sudden has life. There's a bunch of weird bizarro. There's a bunch of weird bizarro shit going on this week. It's kind of throwing a little bit of a damper on my excitement for the card. But you know what else? I actually don't really care. I'm just enjoy watching.
I'm acclimated to it, Drew.
Yeah.
I'm so used to having to make adjustments for 5 quarterbacks every week. That it's just become old hat this year. Welcome in everybody who joined us in the live chat. Yeah. The regulars, the Patricks and the Lipscombs and the Brian, Matthew, Hunter, Jay Klopfenstein. Should be Klopfenstein.
I'm also excited for when a quarterback goes down for it to matter, which it has not in college bowls the last 2 nights. So I'm absolutely tilted on college bowl betting. I don't know why I get involved with this. I don't know why I do this to myself. I should just completely write off. It is such a disaster. But those 2 heavily steamed sides that lost the last 2 nights were just unbelievable. Let's talk about Saints Rams, which has a heavily steamed total. This has been bet up from 44 to 46. We're still staring at a Rams -3.5, -4. And I guess actually now it's 4 flat across the board. There's been a little bit of Rams steam even. So now you actually got to pay juice at a couple of spots here. And I get it. The Rams are for real. We all believe it. We all know it now. We've been talking about it on this show for a month. So this feels like almost like I'm like ready to heel turn and be like, there's too much support for this Rams team. And the Saints are frauds. We know it. However, they are at least healthier on offense. And I didn't really have like, it's been 3 weeks now since the Saints got realistically embarrassed by the Lions, although the scoreboard didn't reflect it. And in those 2 weeks in the interim, they beat the ever-loving pants out off of the Panthers in New Orleans. And then they did it to Tommy DeVito again in New Orleans.
Yeah, it's really hard to take a lot away from those games, Drew.
It's really tough. Yeah, because
I think the biggest question I wanted to ask you on this is like, what is your belief level in the Saints defense? Because we know it was tough. It looked really good at first, but we knew there was some, hey, we should take this with a grain of salt. And then they got some injuries, and we said, all right, now they're going to regress. And they did. You know, Lattimore was important. They weren't getting the pass rush they were, expected to at times. And now it's like, if you look at just the raw numbers for the last few weeks, it looks very good. But of course, you really should take into some sort of opponent adjustment here. Like the Saints defense has been very hard for me to figure out. And I really think this can go one of two ways, where it's okay. We find out it's a middling defense. This total is close, or boy, the injuries have mattered. This team, the scheme has been figured out. This coaching staff has not made adjustments, and Kupp and Atwell and Puka just rip this to shreds. Like, there is a strong urge of mine, and I think the only thing that's kept me from doing it is the fact that it's a bit of a short week for an offensive game plan. That's the only thing that's kept me from like Rams minus 14. Because I feel a lot of situations where the Rams just put up 40 in this one. And I agree with the total. I thought the total move would go higher. I thought we were seeing 47s by today.
If there's a bet to be had on this game, I think it's
if I'm going to make a bet on one of the four, one of the four sides or totals, it's going to be the over in this one, despite it being a Thursday game.
Yeah, I think there's potentially some signal on these Thursday games being overfest lately, based on the defenses are just tired.
You know what the Saints defense is? The Saints defense is the Dallas Cowboys team.
Yeah.
Sam put it best. They're built to bury bad offenses and get cooked by good passing offenses.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've kind of seen that. So it's a tough hang. It's a tough hang this Saturday or this Thursday.
I mean, what do you call it? Stafford's going to have all the time in the world. Kyron Williams matters. I just worry that the Rams defense is a little tie. But that's why I didn't lay Rams. I think the Saints with Olave being, cleared to play matters. Saints probably are okay-ish offensively in this one.
What's your update on Ramczyk?
Don't have an update on Ramczyk, but the interior of Hurst, McCoy, and Ruiz is all good to go. So you can block. You're blocking Aaron Donald. It's just a matter of if anyone else in the Rams defense can hurt you, and that hasn't been much of the case lately. So I don't know. I've been hot and cold on the Rams defense. I just think they're playing pretty tired right now because they're super thin. Everybody plays a million snaps. Like,
another reason I do kind of like this over is we've seen what the Rams offense looks like when they're able to run the ball, when Kyron Williams looks good, when the scheme and his day is just, jiving. And this, despite, like I said, hey, this defense looks good on paper because they've played some shitty teams and bad offenses the last few weeks. Yeah. It doesn't look all that good on paper against the run.
Yeah. Congratulations. You just punked Tommy DeVito and Bryce Young. Everybody's been doing it.
But we're at the same time, those teams had a decent success rate on the ground against you.
Yeah.
Now you bring in a much better coach, a much better coaching staff, a much better quarterback, a better offense. So I'm kind of I didn't think you'd talk me into this so quick, but I'm kind of thinking liking this over tomorrow.
It should be 47. That was my fair.
Oh my god,
I don't know why I didn't bet.
I'm gonna be so mad when this is like, okay, they just need to score in the first play of the second quarter from the 40, and that'll make it 7-0. All right. Anything else on this one? We got a lot of games today.
No, I just got some small action for me on the over. Let's move to CIN PIT. I will tell you that actually I'm in charge now of the swapping banners. There we go. Doing my job. Bengals at the Steelers is a rematch of a game that was Jake Browning's first start in replacement of Joe Burrow, and he lost that start. I went back and rewatched that game because I needed to understand like what's different about Browning then versus now, and it was actually more revelatory of the fact that Zach Taylor didn't really know what he had, and so I think ultimately, like the fact that Taylor and Browning are kind of growing together here makes this a much more dynamic offense for the Bengals. In addition to the fact that the Steelers are just absolutely battered right now defensively in terms of injuries. This Bengals team just scored 27 on a good defense. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
And so they're going to score 20 something on the Steelers, I think, even in the absence of Jamar Chase. I don't really have a ton of questions about the Bengals getting points in this game. The Steelers, on the other hand, and what we saw in very, very limited, potentially not useful sample from Mason Rudolph was just uselessness. He wasn't even looking at any of the guys running routes downfield. He was only interested in the dump. And honestly, like I would expect that you could probably hurt the Bengals defense, which is a little bit sus, especially with the way that they looked in terms of run defense after DJ Reader got hurt in that Vikings game. But Steelers still haven't really shown an ability to get things going. And I don't know, I don't know if Isaac Seumalo is coming back for this game because he seemed to be a pretty important part of their rushing attack. And also like the Steelers, when they get it going on the ground, it's not up the middle the way that the Vikings did. It's off tackle. And I don't know that you could run as effectively against the Bengals that way. So I'm on the Bengals again this week. Surprise.
I'm pulling up the weather now. I haven't looked a ton at the weather. This was going to be a tomorrow morning project. When I do this too early in the week, I just psych myself out. Like you can get a pretty good, picture, but you're not getting an accurate report this far out. But we're going to look anyway. So Sunday, which is not when the game is. This is a Saturday game. Both these teams will play Saturday to Saturday. Some rain, not too cold. Wind doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look like it's going to be a terrible day at Three Rivers or whatever we call it. Acrisure used to be Hines. I have looked at this, and I think this is a nomination for team total over.
For Bengals.
Obviously.
Yes,
like agree. You said, it is
Cam Hayward,
low total. Cam Hayward, and both safeties are very dinged up, possible to miss. I don't know if what we're going to have with.
I think Mink is out. I read.
Yeah, but I'm saying we could have both out.
Okay, Casey's suspended.
The other one, God, what? There's a third safety.
There's a third safety who's missing for the Steelers.
The name is eluding. All right.
I believe you, but I
wrote it in my injury notes today.
Trenton Thompson, dude, they have no safeties.
Yeah, they both missed practice Tuesday, and like you said, Casey was suspended, so he could be down.
Going to play safety.
Down all this. Patrick Peterson is positionless, and he's timeless too. I'm sure he could move, but they are very thin across the middle, and even without Jamar.
Dude,
Higgins 203.
They're gonna have to elevate Eric Rowe, Jalen Elliott, or Henry Black to backfill safety because they're down to one Miles Killebrew.
Who's not a person I have heard of.
I don't have a grade on him.
No, even like Trenton Thompson. Like you're saying, that's not. Let's like Trenton Thompson news. I didn't get all the injury stuff. All right, 4 hours ago. From 4 hours ago. Trenton Thompson missed another practice.
Yikes.
So Minka and Trenton would leave them down their top three safeties.
Okay.
Which would be so what's our team total here? We're looking at 19. Can this Bengals offense get to 20?
I guess, Andy, literally help me with this because I think we're in a weird spot with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Market ranks him 21st right now. That's down from 14th. It's kind of insane that they were 14th last week. That feels very wrong in hindsight, obviously. But are we at a point where people are not downgrading them enough because they did bank some miraculous stupid wins when they were at full strength?
Yeah, I don't know
if
they're just anchored to the record. Like, hey, this is a good team because it has a good record.
Like close your eyes. Steelers are the blank team in the NFL. It's like
23rd.
No, come on. They're like 30th or 31st, aren't they? Like, honestly.
The thing is true. The mess from like 18 to like 28, it's all the same. There's so
Patriots just beat them.
The
Colts just made it look so easy against them. The Colts did. I would take the Steelers. I would take the Steelers. I would take the Steelers at a pick over the Giants. I would consider taking the Steelers at a pick over Carolina.
Cardinals, Washington, Giants. Giants.
No, not
Panthers.
the Cardinals. The Cardinals beat them. Cardinals beat them convincingly.
Doesn't matter. Right now.
Okay. Andy froze.
Panthers, Giants, Cardinals, Raiders, Titans. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, outside of maybe New York and Carolina, like all those teams are. Even if you say they're better than the Steelers, they're a half point better.
Yeah,
those teams you can't seriously say like they're multiple points better. These are teams that are so close together. There's so many. Every team in the league is either ranked 23rd or 31st.
Yeah,
right now.
You know what I would do?
It's a 19-way tie for 23rd.
You know what I would do with all those teams you just named? I would lay 3 points with the Bengals against them.
There you go. I love this team total over.
Okay. All right, let's come back to that.
It's not even just going to be the secret team total. I'm playing it.
Let's come back to that because that might be the secret team total of the day. All right, moving on to Bills at the Chargers. This is a Peacock exclusive, Andy. NBC has decided to take this game away from you unless you subscribe to Peacock. So on behalf of NBC, I apologize that you won't get to see Easton Stick line up under whatever center the Chargers are running out there. And throwing to whatever wide receivers the Chargers have left. It is a lopsided handicap here. We have Bills laying 11.5. I think this is weirdly bounced back and forth between 10.5 and 13 all week. Like there are people who are. This is a two-sided handicap, I guess. Chargers. Somebody out there is like, you're going to give me this many points with Easton Stick. I'll take them. Good luck to whoever that is. Because I don't.
Let me make the case for the Chargers. When it was 14 and a half. So it's an awful lot of points for a Bills team that's, kind of come back from the dead. It's been an up and down team. If this has been a good team consistently all year, good for them. But I mean, we've seen what the bad Bills can do. Getting 14 and a half points, coming off Thursday, they have the extra rest. I don't know. Is there some sort of
short week for Bills too?
Short week for the Bills. Is there some sort of bump for a coach that, I mean, in his mind, do you think, he's like, this is a spot for me to get a better job? The new coach, whatever interim coach bump that some people like to take is a home game, despite them not having a good home field advantage. I don't know. Like, I struggle. I understand taking 14 and a half or 14, just knowing like this number's not going to be around, and I can middle this at like 11 or 12, but I wouldn't, even with that much like closing line value, I wouldn't feel great holding that ticket once Easton Stick hits the field. Like everything he did was kind of here's a fun question. At what point, and we can go look this up, we could look at when the win probability dipped below 15%. At what point did garbage time start last Thursday night?
6 minutes into the first quarter.
I was gonna say was it 28-0 in the first quarter still? It felt that way.
Yeah,
it felt that way.
The second and third touchdowns for the Raiders were so effortless on the side of the Chargers that everything was neutral. Everything was garbage time.
Yeah, people playing the bounce back angle. I get it. Not interested in this game. I guess
if you're playing a bounce back on the Chargers here, you're literally like, yeah, those guys who played defense on Thursday night last time we saw the Chargers play, they either had the Vegas flu, or they literally played that way to send a message that you need to fire Staley. And if it's
not that out of left field, man, because it looked like at time people were not trying.
Yeah, right. I mean, there were a
That's
couple of
rare.
plays that were real busted, terrible effort. And if they try, okay, then maybe this is competitive. But like, you need the Chargers defense to show up to cover any number here, because the Chargers offense is not getting you to the window. I don't have any read on how the players feel about GIF Smith. Have we sorted out if this is a
GIF or
soft G or a
GIF?
hard G?
Everyone's making this joke, and I don't
We
hate
haven't
it. I
sorted
don't
it
hate
out?
it.
Have we sorted
No,
it
I
out?
have no idea. I love it when the interim comes up, and it's always some, coach that most people haven't heard of, unless you're like a big fan of the team. I don't know.
We're gonna go with let's go with GIF.
I'm gonna go.
I've
with
always
GIF.
thought it was GIF.
I say GIF when I speak of the
what?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Put him on a FBI watch list.
It's where I grew up. I don't know. It's how we say things. You should hear how I say boat.
Uh-oh. Okay. I don't have any play on this game.
I think if you like the Chargers, you like the under. Like you said,
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to find a game state where this is, Bills 30, Chargers 20. It does feel like if this stays under, the Chargers have a damn fine chance of staying within 14, but kudos to Joe Brady. Like, I should shout out the guy, whoever wrote that article. That I like the articles that have the GIFs in them.
Yeah.
It's funny that we had to go right back to this. He did a little, it was over on Buffalo Rumblings, which is the Buffalo team site. I was looking for something else, stumbled upon an article, and he broke down how the Bills handled Micah Parsons in a series of, GIFs that he paused and put notes on. And it was interesting because they did a really good job. And I kind of want to rewatch that game after I read the article, because they've really kind of put him in a box in a few plays where they were able to get Cook really moving and kind of take him out of the play. So I guess I'm not worried about like Khalil Mack at all. If they're able to do that to a better defender against a better defense, I would think we could probably move the ball on the ground. Again, kind of my lean here is under, if you haven't caught this yet.
Okay.
I'm going to consider it. I don't think it's not a strong play, but I do think this is a bit of a Bills just take care of business, grind it out. Hey, we found out we can put together a really good run scheme. Why not do that against a shittier defense on the road?
Yeah.
Hurry this game up, get back home, not worry about a team that we should absolutely take care of. And I just, the Chargers are lifeless, man.
This is a pretty terrible spot for the Bills.
That's what I'm saying. Doesn't just score 21, get out of town.
Yeah, it does have that whiff. And honestly, Sean McDermott not being especially aggressive with the lead is something. I know they killed the Cowboys last week, but it wasn't because Sean McDermott was being aggressive in the second half. The Cowboys just didn't have anything in terms of comeback. All right, well, pass, but I concede your points on the under being potentially live, and I'll think harder about that. Moving to Sunday, the Washington Commanders take on the New York Jets, and one of the funnier rewatches of the week was certainly Commanders Rams. I completely was tuned out in the fourth quarter of that game because I didn't feel like the outcome was really all that much in doubt, and the Commanders down 14 points, donking off a half of a quarter, trying to get a touchdown, and then getting the extra point block.
They were at the 1 yard line for 3.5 minutes.
It was insane.
Something
it was insane.
Behold.
I literally was like, is this a glitch? This has to be a glitch. Somebody made a mistake in the scorekeeping. This is weird. But no, Ron Rivera is useless. The Commanders probably have quit on him. Even if they haven't quit on him, they're not very good. Jacoby Brissett came in the replacement of Sam Howell, and Jacoby Brissett was wildly efficient. And they're going right back to Sam Howell for this game. So you're trotting Sam Howell out against the Jets defense that just got embarrassed against the Dolphins, and a Jets offense that, believe it or not, Andy, will not have Aaron Rodgers, even though he is he's on the active roster. I don't want to talk about it because fuck that guy, and not worth our time.
I'm gonna. So, real quick handicap. I did play the Commanders. If you follow the Sunday show, I played some +3.
Good work.
Small Commanders bet. I still like it. I think there's a over 30% chance we see Brissett at some point. Again, boring. No one wants to hear about it, but Brissett won me my fantasy matchup in the playoffs because Terry McLaurin has sucked, and all of a sudden he just unlocked McLaurin. So I think there's a decent case for Howell to be benched again if this game is getting ugly. And Zach Wilson protocol. Trevor Siemian is bad. Zach Wilson's bad, but it's worse. He is a downgrade. I make him a full point downgrade from prime Zach Wilson. I would like to defend Aaron Rodgers. I didn't think it would come to this, but there's a lot of hot takes flying around the fact that he's on the active roster and everyone's like, oh my God, this guy I don't know that existed last week. He just lost his job. Rodgers took some guy's job. He's just the worst person ever. He's a $35 million a year quarterback, and he's going to be their starting quarterback for one of the NFL franchises next year. If he wants to be on the fucking team and get some practices in this year, you put him on the team. You cut 3 guys. You send them home. You tell their kids they're not getting Christmas. It's $1 billion business. He is the quarterback next year. And if he needs to get some extra practices in with the team, then he's going to get some extra practices. I don't give a shit. People get fired all the time. People lose jobs all the time. Like this guy you've never heard of. Also, everyone's just like virtue signaling. And I hate using these words like that. But like, oh, Aaron, like it's just because it's fun to pile on. It's fun to pile on Aaron Rodgers. And I'm guilty. I love piling on Aaron Rodgers. He lied to us for attention. I guarantee him and McAfee were giggling. That's why everybody's piling. Oh my God, everyone's going to watch this because I said I'm coming back. Yeah. I can't come back. My Achilles is in shreds. There's no chance. He's like, I could maybe walk around and fuck with him in October and November, but it's not happening, Pat. And Pat just, pulls the tank top and just giggling. So yeah, I still like he is the starting quarterback next year. Get him out there, get practices in because you need, if you're Salah, how he plays in September kind of depends. That's what your job next year, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Well, my counter to your counter is that it doesn't matter if he practices with these guys or not because they need to turn over the entire staff if they're going to be successful.
I don't think they're going to.
And honestly, he doesn't need practice anyway. Like, unless you're counting on him to teach the guys what they need to be doing.
I think you're right. I think that is a part of something. Like, they're not learning shit from Zach.
Well, does he need to be on the active roster in order to do that? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Okay.
I'm fine with it.
I just don't like Aaron Rodgers because he's
I hate his guts.
Yeah, because
I feel like I should shower while you talk about the Minnesota game after I just did that.
Oh, I just find him just the least likable high profile athlete in the NFL and by margin. So everything he does.
Is there someone less likable? Even the guys who are like shitheads on defense that get, like Kareem Jackson and some of the guys that like always get in trouble for being super dirty.
Yeah.
I don't mind them. Like,
no, not at all.
They're just playing hard and they're just dumb.
We'll do a whole Aaron Rodgers sidebar someday and we can really dive into it.
We need to rank our 5 least favorite players.
Yeah, Rodgers is at the top of the list for me, and there's lots of reasons why. He's anti our DNA in the risk-taking department, and he uses that to gloss his own reputation, which I absolutely hate. And yeah, he's lost games where if he was more willing to take risks, they could have won. And I find that to be extremely distasteful for someone who is very very into taking risks. So, he's at the polar opposite end of the spectrum.
I'm trying to think of even just a quarterback in the NFL I dislike. Outside of just the ones that have
lost you a lot of money.
Yeah. I probably, Russell Wilson's probably number 2. It's more just like
he's a rough hang.
It's like, buddy, you're just cringy.
Too much cringe. All right. Well, we'll move on to Lions at Vikings. Is this really 3.5 right now? It has
seen a little bit of bounce back and forth.
Okay.
I think it's just a spendy 3 for the most part.
It's a spendy 3. I don't mind calling it 3.5 then. Minnesota, the total is 47, is in a dome. No weather to speak of. That should presumably help Mr. Goff and his tiny hands. The Lions offense was clicking last week, man. It was good. And it didn't really necessarily seem to be a reflection of their opponent. It was just they had a good game plan. They executed it brilliantly, and they looked great. I would, 3.25. That's a very weird, 3.25. The Vikings looked fine and actually probably should have won that game against Cincinnati. At least if they don't make a couple of key mistakes. But otherwise,
you get those 3 inches in overtime, and you probably get another 6-7 yards, and that's probably a 60 to 70% chance to make that field goal.
Or you don't take points off the board at the end of the first half. Like another good way to win that game. Like there were definitely avenues for the Vikings to win the game. Not that I thought they were the better team, but the game played into their hands. Vikings defense is good. I think we know that. I don't think there's no smoke and mirrors behind the fact that unit is top 10. The Lions defense is absolute garbage. The Vikings offense is sort of the one question mark we have in this one, right?
It's strength on strength, weakness on weakness.
It's strength on strength and it's weakness on question mark, right?
I think I'm still leaning towards weakness.
Even though Justin Jefferson's back and he looks fine, and Addison is blooming,
the Bengals
offensive line is killer.
The Bengals.
TJ Hawkinson is out there.
Go dig into the Bengals numbers, man. Like, that is a really bad deal. Like, they probably should have scored more. Like, that is a bad defense at all levels. That might be the only reason we got to see that might be our good one Ty Chandler game. It's like, it's because he played the Bengals that year. I'm saying I'm not sold on it. Mullins made some bad decisions. Missed some things. It seems like he's not terribly accurate, even on some. So it's going to go in the box score as a completion for like 8 yards, but the guy had to absolutely use every inch of his vertical to go up and get a ball that should have been just right on him. Like it's it's teetering on disaster sometimes with Mullins. I think it can be good, and it's a second straight week of a bad defense you get to play, so it might be good. But for the most part, I guess I'm fine with these numbers. If it wasn't so strength on strength with the Vikings D and this offense I like, I'd consider this over, but I'm kind of fine where it's sitting. Ticked up a little, but this is probably a fair total, probably a fair price. I don't have a strong look anymore on this one.
At 3, I'm out on this game. At 3.25, I'm Vikings. At 3.5, I'm definitely playing Vikings.
Home division game.
Yeah, better, I mean, the
probably a better coach.
Honestly, the strength on strength of Lions Vikings D, I think leans Vikings D. Really, like they're perfectly fine at stopping the run, and they are outstanding at defending the types of passes that Jared Goff wants to go to first, second, and third.
I didn't care for how they played that fourth quarter. It felt like they were showing blitz and then dropping every time.
They've been doing that a lot late in games.
Browning
I don't really get why.
Yeah, I don't love it. I think if Flores learned from that, I think they can win this game. But I mean, it's like, hey, if you have 8 guys who can't cover, it doesn't matter if you drop them all into cover. They still can't cover. They're still just finding gaps in these zones. And then there was no pressure on Browning. So, I mean, you just saw as they moved in those fourth quarter drives, it's like, oh shit. This is not working defensively. Like, you need to just blitz and trust. Like, the trust level in one corner playing press man and 3 guys out there who don't know what the fuck they're doing, it should be about the same. You might as well take the pressure on the quarterback. So wasn't impressed with Flores in the fourth quarter in that game.
So you're almost advocating Lions then, yeah?
No, I mean, I think it's fair. It's laying over a field goal on the road in division this late in the season. I'm not super pumped about that either. I'm pretty fine with these numbers.
Okay.
If you like the Lions,
47 feels a hair low. Because I do think the Vikings with 3 weapons in the passing game could really hurt the Lions.
More Saturday to Saturday teams.
Yeah.
Right? This is Sunday. This is Sunday. Everyone gets
Saturday to Sunday teams. Yeah.
Everyone gets a little bit extra time.
So yeah, I'm curious about the Lions getting a little bit exposed defensively and turning into a negative game state. You know what I mean? Like, that part of the distribution, I think, is where I want to key on, which is the Vikings succeed early, put the Lions into a hole like the Lions were against the Packers on Thanksgiving. And then all of a sudden now it is Flores can be aggressive, pass rush you, and you have to beat them through the air.
I think there's a case to be made for live betting the Vikings with the lead. The Lions against the Packers and Bears did not look good coming from behind.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That's the way I'll play it then.
I'm fine with that.
No pre-flop.
Nothing excites me there. Cleveland at Keenum.
Yeah, this would have been one of the games of the week, except it's going to be Case Keenum involved, and I gotta tell you, man, the Case Keenum tape from
I only watched the second half.
It was so
again.
bad, dude. It was so bad. Oh fuck! The second half, I have no idea how the Texans won that game. Titans dropped 2 put away pick sixes. And maybe there were like 2 or 3 other turnover-worthy plays that didn't get converted to turnovers. I mean, Case Keenum does not look. He was taking absolutely awful sacks. Like, I mean, he did not look ready to play, and now he's got to go against the Browns defense. I know the Browns are hurt at every level, at every key position. The entire Browns team is hurt, but Myles Garrett's still out there. They still have Jim Schwartz coordinating. The secondary for the Browns is playing really well. There was a Denzel Ward sighting last week, by the way. He played 40 or 50% of snaps, and he looked fine. So I think the Browns defense is going to be able to keep the Texans in a box in this one. And then it's just a question of if the Browns can pass pro enough to keep Joe Flacco upright, because he should be able to carve a little bit with Njoku and Cooper. So I guess I'm on the Browns here, man. We've seen this line flip from Texans small favorite to Browns small favorite as people's bubbles were popped on the CJ Stroud might be back hopes.
Yeah, good on anybody that grabbed a decent Browns money line price when they were still around evens. I think even at this current number, let me pull up. Why do I not have my power numbers open? I just had it open. This is what happens when you close a bunch of tabs to clean up your computer, and then you close one of the ones you want. Week 16, where are we at?
This is basically a coin flippy game with a total of 40, which means that in order to make your team total, you got to get to 20 points. Case Keenum ain't getting to 20 points, guys. He's getting nothing from Damian. No, the Texans in general are getting nothing from Damian Pierce.
They aren't even really running him anymore. They've completely switched
There's only one target in the game you really got to pay attention to in Dalton Schultz. Noah Brown is effectively their wide receiver 1 right now. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's kind of tilted towards just Singletary's the usage guy now. So with my downgrade, yeah, I'm kind of still fine with this number if it's Keenum.
Really?
I don't. No, I mean, I'm fine betting the Browns.
Oh.
Like I'm saying, even after the move. I'm sorry, I didn't explain that very well.
Okay.
Even after the move.
Okay.
I think I would not blame a person for betting the Browns here.
Okay. This has Coach of the Year implications because Stefanski can knock out one of the favorites in DeMeco Ryans if he wins this game. Would be a big time high leverage move for Stefanski's Coach of the Year candidacy. And actually the Browns, presumably if they win this game and the Ravens lose to the Mighty Niners, are not eliminated from AFC North.
No,
which is amazing.
The clinching scenario is Ravens win, Browns lose or tie, I think. So
yeah,
they're only 2 games back with 3 to play. They can stay alive here, even with the Ravens win. I think the Browns continue to win despite everything that's happened to them this year. Their injury report is still a mile long. They've lost 3 essentially. I know you only start with 2 starting tackles, but 3 tackles that were starting for long periods of time, if not the whole year. They're on their 4th quarterback. They had the whole sex pervert distraction for the past couple of years. It's kind of amazing things that are happening up there at the Mistake on the Lake.
Final commentary.
I'm with you here.
Final commentary on Cleveland. Is there a world where the current market for DPOY is dead fucking wrong, and Myles Garrett should already be like minus 200?
I looked at it today. I said I'd vote for him.
So here's what I'm asking, right? Like, is there do we live in a world where the current price is super wrong, but he still doesn't win? Like, what happens? Like, what's going on in that space?
What was your original case for Micah Parsons?
That he was the best player in defense in the NFL.
What else? I mean, what else? You threw some other stuff in there with him. Well, I mean, you had one other big point preseason.
He's in a lot of high profile games. A lot of game of the week. I don't remember what else.
Another point you made back in the summer was just he's always been thought of as one of the best defensive players in the league since he's come in, even from his rookie year.
Sure.
And he's not gotten this award.
Sure.
It kind of fits another guy we know that wears
Miles
orange.
Garrett. Right.
Miles Garrett
Yeah.
has been amazing for most of it. I mean, he's gotten a little scuffle here and there with the Mason Randolphs of the world, but he has better stats. He's probably just as important to his team as Micah Parsons, and he hasn't won it either. So the fact that he's a dog, I think they should be co-favorites. Like TJ Watt has better flash numbers than both of them, but right now, I mean, I think you're seeing who's the most important to their teams, and it's dead tie for me with Parsons and Garrett. And if I had to vote, I'd vote for Garrett right now, despite holding Parsons tickets. I'm considering taking some Garrett at this number.
You agree that like the prices doesn't?
No, that's what I'm saying. They should both be plus 110, and then Watt should be 5-1 or something.
All right,
that's how I would price it right now.
In strong agreement there. Okay. Moving. Okay, I guess if this is 2.5, if this is 2.5 in contests, I'm a million.
All three men will have a primetime or standalone game before the season's up, without flexing and stuff. Dallas has Detroit in the primetime next week. We got the Browns and I can't remember what theirs is, but then the Steelers have one as well.
I gotta tell you, man, Myles Garrett could absolutely destroy this game. He could be unstoppable against Case Keenum. Case Keenum has no awareness. Let's move on to Green Bay Packers. Speaking of no awareness, the Packers continue to employ Joe Barry. That appears to be a mistake. Andy did not love the way that the Packers played defense last week against the Bucs. Cost me some money, cost me some contest standing. The Packers were awful. I don't think there's any other ways to mince it on defense. The Packers offense was fine. Is there a world in which the Panthers, who are home and catching 5, continue to kind of finish the season on the come up? I will note that the Panthers defense was a little bit unheralded in their performance against the Atlanta Falcons. I think the fact that the Panthers defense is healthy and the fact that Ejiro Evero is coordinating them is not being factored in correctly. I think that might be a good defense right now, and I don't think the offense is anything to write home about. They're probably in the bottom 3 pretty clearly by any ratings, but Bryce Young led a pretty solid drive at the end of that game to get that win.
I got one more in me, says I got this one. Yeah, it's a really shitty offense though, because that is a defense that has been beaten up, essentially has no pass rush left. They've had secondary issues. That was a good defense for parts of the season, especially in the first third.
You're talking about Atlanta.
Atlanta, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a team you probably should have had, and it was probably one of Bryce Young's better games statistically, which sucks for Panthers fans and backers. But that was a impressive win at the end. They got it done. The defense is a little unheralded, as you put it. They have some good players at all 3 levels. They have a good coordinator. They have a good scheme, even if they do have some holes. They're kind of pulling the Flores, where it's like, man, you don't have a lot of players. Yeah, we'll make do, and we're going to make this happen through scheme, through coaching, through adjustments, even if I did kind of shit on Flores for his 4th quarters. So it depends where you're at with the Packers offense. Like, we saw a few good weeks of it. Some of it was against lesser defense, if you want to put it that way. And maybe, some of the crash down to earth is maybe what we'll see from Love, because the crash down to earth, maybe against Tampa, it wasn't as bad as we saw the bad Love, like beginning of the season, but it wasn't the highs. It was kind of the median. Maybe this is where we're going to go with the Green Bay Packers offense. If that's the offense that shows up, like how do we get to 37 points here?
I don't know. I don't know.
And again, we have a really bad Packers defense throwing some bad signals, like the quotes. It's not kumbaya with Joe Barry right now.
No,
so
it's really not.
I don't have a lot but good things to say about the Packers defense,
or the Packers health.
Yeah, it's a spot where, well, it's just the Panthers. Like, we still probably hold them to 13 points here. So, I mean, this finishes 17-13 an awful lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, you know what that is? It's inside the number. That was Bryce Young, by the way. That was his 4th best game of the season, and it was a negative EPA game. So not great, Mr. Young. His best game of the season was week 8 versus Houston. Second best was
they won that one.
Week 5 at Detroit. His 3rd best was week 12 at Tennessee, and then this was his 4th best at minus 1.1 EPA per total EPA added. So that's not good. But definitely better than week 14 where he was minus 26, Andy. So yeah, no, I think Bryce Young, I mean, I don't know. I kind of want to believe that
it's hard to go minus 26. Like you almost can't do that without a pick 6.
It's very tough. It's very tough. But I will tell you that, I think there's scope for Bryce Young to finish with a couple of wins and for the Panthers to be like, okay.
I think we're saying the same thing as far as like, this is going to be a grinded out, low scoring, ugly game that probably leans me towards the Panthers. I'm not super interested in betting this game. There is the narrative. There's the narrative around like, oh, they didn't win their Super Bowl. No one's saying that, but it's like, hey, they got to win. They don't want to win too many. Fuck, why? It's a difference between drafting 33rd and 34th. Like it's not massive at this point. Like you got an interim head coach. He's not looking to the long future of the franchise. He wants to get some wins.
Way more important to build a winning culture now.
Like, they don't
than
care
that, whatever that is. Yeah.
They don't care where the Bears draft. They have, they have their picks later on, and if they move a little, so be it. I think the wins are more important. So I don't think there's just like, oh, they got to win. They're just going to shut it down for the season. They'll play hard, and even though the Panthers playing hard, it's not great. So
I think the defense. Yeah, I mean,
I'm
the defense
lean under, but no strong take for me here.
I think the defense for the Panthers might be good, and we are missing it, but we'll see. I don't really love. There's just nothing I love this week, I guess. Let's move on to the Sea Chickens at the Titans. Weird one because we don't really know who the quarterback for the Titans is going to be. At least since the last time I really scoured the interwebs for information, I didn't see confirmation one way or the other on Levis going versus Tannehill. And I can also say I don't really know what your opinion is, but is Tannehill an upgrade to their chances to win this game, or a downgrade, or a sideways? And same with Locke and Geno right now. Like we don't know who either quarterback is going to be for the second week in a row with the Seahawks, and I don't know how to go directionally rating either of these offenses.
Yeah, I looked at so I had to go with a bigger sample, and I know Tannehill missed time last year too, but just EPA plus like turnover percentage and a few other little things, sack avoidance, especially early down sack avoidance. I would make Tannehill a 4-point upgrade over Levis. I can't. Well, I'm saying, but that's Ryan Tannehill with a guarantee that he is 100% healthy and engaged. I don't think we have either of those right now. So the most I could say is like a field goal. And a lot of that is just an indictment on Will Levis and how he's played. Okay. And the lack of efficiency we've seen from the offense when he's under center. Tannehill, it's all relative. It's like, hey, I make who's the worst quarterback you can think of?
Zach Wilson? Oh, Tim Boyle probably.
Tim Boyle is like a 15-point upgrade from me. It's all relative, guys.
Who is the Western Kentucky quarterback who was the coach's son who started that game that was so bad that he got benched for the guy that had a pulse and covered that number in the famous Toastery Bowl against.
Don't bring up the famous Toastery Bowl. Some people could have had ODU.
That's the worst quarterback I know. I don't think he's an upgrade over you.
Yeah, I'm just banger teaser I guess.
Okay.
Love this. There's not a huge difference between Geno and Locke for me. I think it's almost certain Geno's starting. He's back. They seem to be indicating that he's going to be fine for this game as far as what I'm reading in the tea leaves.
Is that an upgrade or downgrade on Locke?
I think Drew Locke was not good on that last drive, Drew.
What? He threw two beauties.
Interceptions.
He threw two beauties.
He threw two balls that were essentially interceptions during that drive. One was really bad.
And then two absolute dimes.
I want to give DK Metcalf 90% of the credit for that drive. Like Drew Lock was composed at times, but he wasn't great throughout the game. He had one good drive where he was lucky. Metcalf early bailed him out of that drive before that game was fucking over. So it's an upgrade, but it's mild.
Okay. Yeah, I got nothing on this one. Let's keep moving. Colts Falcons. I do have something here. Wrong team favored. I think the Colts are clearly better on both sides of the ball. I think they're clearly better in terms of head coaching. And honestly, the fact that Arthur Smith is dreaded vote of confidence right now and pressing and going back to Taylor Heineke is a minus for me. I think Taylor Heineke is terrible. I don't want to go to war with Desmond Ridder one way or the other, but I also don't think Heineke is the answer to any question. Colts defense quietly playing a lot better and a lot healthier. And I think they're going to be able to kind of first, specifically keep the Falcons in the teens here. And I think Jonathan Taylor coming back, fully healthy offensive line, Gardner Minshew playing fine football, probably should be 1.5, 2-point favorites here. So Colts for me.
Yeah, I make the Colts like the 15th best offense and the 15th best defense, which is good considering everybody else is tied for 23rd at everything, except for the few bad. Like they're not good. So this is the Colts. It's Schrodinger's franchise. Like the team is bad and the team is good. Like it's clearly has its issues. It clearly has its shortcomings, but at the same time, it's better than like half the league because there's so many bad teams. And there's a bunch of teams that are very close. I think the Falcons are one of them, but I still think this should be like a pick. I'm fine with the number. I'm not excited to back the Colts because it feels like the other shoe has to drop at some point, and Minshew just has this 3 turnover game, and you're pulling your hair out. But I mean, at the same time, I'm not backing Heineke. I consider Heineke a downgrade to Ridder, and again, relative, but that's saying something. Because Ridder has been not just a turnover machine, he's been a turnover at the holy fuck, are you kidding me? Wrong time kind of turnover machine.
Correct. Yeah.
It is at home. A little bump, I guess, but
offensive line injuries for the Falcons that matter.
Yeah, but I was gonna say between the injuries and the quarterback downgrade, you won't catch me dead taking the dog at home.
No,
or the short fave at home here.
No, I think this is pretty clearly Falcons, and I think Arthur Smith Colts over the Falcons, and I think the Arthur Smith is on life support.
One stop back, Klopfenstein here. Stein. I keep saying it wrong.
Derrick Henry being faced
Henry being faced out. It kind of feels that way.
It does.
It feels like it's going to be a little more. Is it Taiji Sharp?
Yeah, Taiji Sharp.
I always mix him up with the other guy that's out in Denver. Somebody else, and yes, very sick catch by SJSN. I was going to go to bed once he got his 4th catch.
And that was it?
Yeah, and I was going to go to bed because I said, like, I can just watch it on NFL Plus tomorrow. I'll just catch the last, like, quarter and a half. He'll get a catch in the 3rd quarter, and I'll just go to bed because I'm so tired. And that was his 4th catch. Fucking way. I mean, essentially, their last play outside of a kneel down. So, yeah, Chernoff did like the Falcons. Rass played them too. See if it goes the way of such as life.
All right, we got head-to-head then because I love the Colts this week.
Well, I abstain. I'm not voting. This is me voting for Kanye.
Okay. Thank you. Jags Bucks, I think there's a bet to be had here, and I think it's the over. I expect that Trevor Lawrence will ultimately be cleared and play. And I think the Buccaneers defense can be had. And I think the Buccaneers offense is going to have an absolute time of it against the Jags defense. The Buccaneers offense right now looks like a problem. Excellent pass pro, balanced attack with Rachaad White now running the ball well. And Chris Godwin looks healthy as he's looked in a while. And Mike Evans is Mike Evans. So this is all of a sudden one of your more dynamic offenses in football. Buccaneers -1 is something I
mean, but the Jags are pretty healthy in the secondary, right? No. They should be able to shut down these receivers, right?
I don't think so.
On the road.
The Jags defense is half dimensional. They can create
said that to me before.
They don't have a full one dimension, Andy. They only have half a dimension.
Like this.
And it is sometimes they can pass rush. And you know what that doesn't help you with? And in any way, stopping the Buccaneers, because the Buccaneers can pass pro. So I don't think the Jaguars defense is in for any kind of success in this one. This Jags win, it's going to come down to Trevor Lawrence pulling off some miracles. And I got to tell you, I watched the entire Jags Ravens game twice.
Ooh.
Once in the condensed and once in the all 22. All 22 because I was trying to find out if Zay Flowers broke his foot. And we'll save that commentary for talking about the Ravens Niners. Well, actually, we're not going to talk about any of the 3 Monday night games.
If we can at the end, if we have
Let's
some
just touch
thoughts.
on them. I only want to talk
about
about Niners Ravens. But yeah, I was watching to see if there was anything about Zay Flowers in that game, and inadvertently watched a lot of Trevor Lawrence from the all 22. On the normal broadcast, his misses didn't feel that bad. On the all 22, his misses were, what the fuck was that? Like, there were some skipped passes, some overthrows that were just like, what is happening? I'm prepared to kind of put those in the context of what we saw from Tua last year when he got dinged in game against the Packers and was just like, what is he doing, man? Like, it had those kind of whiffs to it. And maybe with a week of recuperation, Trevor's good to go and he's able to execute against the Buccaneers team that's hurt as hell. But
when was the ankle injury?
It was against the Bengals in the fourth quarter.
That wasn't that long ago either. Like, we're still not out of the spot where some guys would still be sitting with that.
Yes. Right.
So I mean,
plus he's like a torn MCL or something stupid. Like he's all kinds of fucked up. But
he's Teron Armstead right now. He's
Teron Armstead is just old.
Armstead is old.
Yeah.
Between some of the passes and the fumble was, the fumble was something. I've never seen a fumble like that. Terrible. I like the Bucs. I took the over with them last week. I'm probably going to ride it again because looking at and I'm waiting. I want to see a little bit, but I think the Bucs do get healthy on defense, but it might not be till the playoffs, man. So they're still dealing with some multi-week injuries for some important guys. The Jags should play better than that. The Jags had a lot of empty drives. Like, if you go look at their yardage and what happened, you said, like, we missed some passes here and there. The Jags, I think I said this on Sunday, they didn't deserve to like cover that game, but we deserved them to be in doubt in the last drive where it's like, hey, if they score here, they can backdoor this.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of where I was at with the Jags. Like, it should have been a better scoring performance. So I think we can get the Jags to like 17 or 20 points here. And I certainly like the Bucs to get to, and I'm almost just, again, looking, well, why am I not just taking the Buccaneers team total at this point and not having to worry about Trevor, doing some stuff. It's one that's been off the board a little. This was obviously circled because of the uncertainty. So some of these markets this market is less developed than some of the other ones. But
you're right.
Bucs in the over for me.
I think that the total is gonna once we kind of know who's available. I think the total is gonna be like 44.5-ish. So over for me on this one, and good to hear your Bucs thoughts because you've been dialed on the Bucs. You have had a very solid read on the team. This feels like, boy, does this feel like a rerun of last week? Like, if this is what was the score last week? 34-24 or something?
34-20, I think. Opinion on Bucs. What was it? Remember, I DM'd you about it. The Bucs rollover. We're doing the Bucs rollover. It's
gonna be a big number.
If I get 7 at home versus Dallas, obviously it's a no-brainer bet, but that'll be a Tampa Bay money line with the option to roll over.
Philly at this point.
We'll see. Why?
Philly looks like they're free falling. They just put Matt and Patricia in charge of defense, Andy.
Yeah, but their schedule's pretty easy.
You think they're okay?
I don't know. Jalen Hurts called him out. I think we see a bounce back from Philly. If both Philly and the Dallas Cowboys win out, it's almost certainly going to be Philadelphia with the division title because of the 4th or 5th tiebreaker being strength of victory, which, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a schedule analyst to know that the Dallas strength of victory is bad. I mean, it's like a full 100 points different right now.
Wow.
As far as like the the win percentage and strength of victory for that tiebreaker.
You mean like who they beat? Like strength of victory is who they've beaten?
The cumulative win percentage of all the teams they've beaten.
Yeah.
So that is because head-to-head is first, so it'd be split, and then it's division record, and if they win out, that'd be split, and then it would be common opponents, which somehow would both be like 5-3, I think, if they both win out.
I don't know, man. Next week against the Cardinals looks like it could be spoiler time.
Maybe, but then we get to what was the last one then was conference record, which again, if they won out, would be tied.
The Eagles have
and Dallas losing. Speaking of spoiling, Dallas losing to Arizona might put them in the wild card in the end here.
Wow. Okay. All right. Let's keep moving to the one that we want to talk about the most: Cowboys Dolphins. This is America's game of the week. It is going to be must-watch TV. And the only play I have on this game is kind of unplayable. I played under 51. 50 is now minus 111. And this is kind of what I wanted to get your take on. Give me a grade on this this hot take. You ready? Last year.
F.
End of the year. We saw the Miami Dolphins go on the road at San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the San Francisco defense put on a clinic of how do you stop that offense that had that point in time, no one really knew how to stop. And it was masterful. And the Chargers copied it the next week. Did exactly the same thing. Second week on the road for the Dolphins. There are very clear takeaways from Buffalo, Dallas on how you stop Dallas's offense. And if there's one coach that I would count on to be able to learn from that tape and do it again, it's Vic Fangio, because it was basically coaching the way that he wants to coach.
I know. So I hate, this is the one I kind of hate the most now, because I've looked over this one a little more this afternoon. I thought I liked the under. I think it still might be an okay play. I think there's a bit of an edge, especially if you got a good number. But as much as I hate to fade the team that just looked like shit, because the market's going to be low on them, and truthfully, the Dolphins didn't have that great of a game.
No,
I mean, if you go back and actually look at the 30-0 is a little deceiving, but to the market, it was a big win. It's another, another conference win, another step towards winning the AFC East for the first time in ever. I hate backing that team, but the more I look at this, how this matches up, like Dolphins could just be honestly carbon copy of last week, where the Dolphins defense, despite some of the injuries, Van Ginkel played with a broken nose the whole game. He's so tough.
tough.
I mean, I think you put him in the conversation for DPOI at this point. But even with some of the injuries, Jesus, what they got out of Chubb, all that like positive regression in one game. He probably doesn't show up for the rest of the year, but they should be able to do similar things. And what we saw with how they run blocked and got Cook going, like, this is a better running team with two good running backs and a better offensive mind than probably Joe Brady. Like, I would expect them to be able to pick on Dallas quite a bit and probably just, control the ball. Like, I don't think either of these teams are going to do a lot in the playoffs. Both of these have super high one and done in the wild card round probability in my mind. But as far as this matchup goes, I'm going to lay it with the Dolphins. This number's too small.
Okay. So I thought hard.
I think this could be, and I think it could be an alt spread too, like Dolphins 3.5, 7.5, 10.5, kind of little sprinkles.
Yeah. The Dolphins carbon copying the Bills' game plan and defending the Cowboys well and keeping the Cowboys in check, I think is live. The Dolphins struggling offensively because they are still dealing with a decent amount of injuries to their offensive line. And if you can generate quick pressure, the Cowboys can get you, I think, is trouble. I know that your points about what the Bills did offensively is also some teach tape for Mike McDaniel.
Yeah.
But I still think that, a decent pass rush, quick pressures, and a less disadvantageous game state probably helps the Cowboys defense here. So this, to me, looks like it could be a rock fight. compared to the 51 point total that I bet into. And I think, fair should probably be in the 47 range. I'm mad I wasn't
Well,
more
that's
aggressive
aggressive.
I'm mad I wasn't more aggressive on the fair for Bills Cowboys last week, man. I was like, it's like 48. She bet it more. I didn't really hit it as hard as I could have. That would have made my week. And I think ultimately,
counterpoint to some of the pass rush, the quick pass rush, and the offensive line in Miami. Like, Miami might be one of the teams where it matters a little less if the offensive line is speed up. They have a game plan to get rid of the ball incredibly quickly. They have the scheme and the speed and just the creativeness in the offense to get the ball out in space to playmakers without having to have 5 good guys in front doing all the, the road grading. So I trust them to be able to move the ball, but I think it's going to be less of the over-the-top stuff we're used to, and they do turn into a little bit more of like the 2022 Chiefs, where it's like, hey, this is a really efficient offense. They're not doing it. And it's crazy, the Tyreek connection there. But you remember how the Chiefs were? It's like, this is a team that moves the ball, but it takes a while, and there's a lot of third downs, but they're converting them all. And that's kind of where I'm at with this, what I would do and what I think I'm going to expect from McDaniel this week.
Okay. So I think either way, either of these teams is in a negative game state, I don't trust them. Either of these teams in a game where their defense is playing well, I think the offenses are struggling. So this high of a total, this high profile of a game, like everything checks boxes unders. So I think bettable, good to 48.5. I don't think I would play it under 48.
So Matthew, my fair is like Miami 1-ish. I'm pretty close to the market on here. It's just more of a matchup thing where I'm willing to go and just say, like, it's a high totaled game. It's a good offense. It's a coach I like a lot better. And I was, again, very unimpressed with Dallas's ability to adjust last week.
Surely.
Shit wasn't working on the offensive side. Keep doing it. Shit wasn't working defensively. Keep doing it. Like the fact that Quinn and McCarthy couldn't, make any sort of adjustments to get back into that game was very concerning, again, for a team that might end up on the road versus like, oh no, we're down 14-0 to Baker Mayfield. What should we do? Get your golf gear out, I guess, because these assholes don't know how to dig out of a hole.
Yeah. Worth noting that Zach Martin is expected to go, but he's not getting practice. The offensive line for the Cowboys, another hostile environment potentially with the factor, all those factors being realized. I came into this week expecting the Cowboys that I was going to be making a case for them on the spot, and I can't do it. I think there is a decent chance that they've been exposed offensively and that the Dolphins can copy that. That's not to say that the Cowboys get right isn't coming next week against the Lions, but I definitely think.
What should that total be? 53?
55, yeah, something like that. Final score prediction for me if you're going to bet the Dolphins.
I mean, I'll make it an under to make you feel better, so I'll go 49-0. So like 30-10.
30-10. Okay, I'll accept that. Did you just call out the score from Chargers Dolphins last year? No, Chargers Dolphins last year was 23-17 in the back-to-backer for the Dolphins. All right, I didn't feel that close. It definitely did not feel that close. Anyway, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring game.
Arizona
Cardinals Bears. No opinion. What do you got here?
Played the Bears.
You did? Oh, make the case. Because I thought about this, but then I was like, "Fuck these teams." What was the case?
It is kind of a fuck these teams, but I don't know. The Cardinals are probably getting a little too much respect for being okay on offense, but when I go back and look at just splits of the season from like last 3 weeks, last 5 weeks, last 8 weeks, it's a massive step up defensively.
Sure.
Which is crazy to say because I don't know. At the beginning of the year, we said like, oh man, you don't want to play the Bears because their defense is going to be so tough because they were so injured. They were missing like 3 or 4 secondary pieces early in the season, getting stuff back, added Montez Sweat, playing with some swagger, at least defensively, and going on the road. I know it's not an early game for a West Coast team, but it's still an indoor team having to play out in the elements in Chicago. Hollywood and Greg Dortch are limited. They might be there. I mean, they're adding like wide receivers and tight ends to from the practice squad. It might be kind of a skeleton offense. And I like McBride. I like the running back's name. I can't say. They drafted well. It's still not a good team. These are two bad teams. These are two pretty bad teams, but I really, really like the Bears defense to kind of limit basically everything the Cardinals do here. They've played so well. And probably just run the ball, do a bunch. This is like the preseason game where DJ Moore had like 150 yards on 2 catches. That shit's gonna work. Go back and watch that Niners game. And yes, I know DJ Moore isn't Debo and Mooney isn't Ayuk. It's a definitely step down, but they have some playmakers who can do similar things to what we saw last week. This Cardinals defense isn't good.
Okay, so I
hate laying. I never thought I'd be laying over a field goal with this Bears team this year, but I'm kind of fine with this up to 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the current Bears defense is the monsters of Midway Redux. I ultimately didn't lay the Bears because the Bears honestly were competitive last week because of defensive points and short fields.
Yeah, but I mean, so when I made the point about the Cardinals are going from like a middle of the pack to possibly even below average defense to a top 5 defense, the Bears are kind of doing the opposite.
Oh, sure.
They played a meat grinder last week. That was terribly difficult to move the ball for obvious reasons. Now they get a lot easier test at home.
That's a great point.
So I'm not saying the Bears are going to go put up 35 because it's still the Bears and Fields, but I think Fields probably has a nice day rushing. I think it's a good DJ Moore game because he's just their best and only player. And I don't think I need more than like 21, 24 to cover this.
Yeah. Is it racist that the Italian American community has gotten so fully behind Tommy DeVito and yet DeMarcado is not getting the same support?
I guess. The Eagles haven't won a game since they kicked Big Dom off the sideline.
Is that right? Oh my God. That sounds like a curse. Is it a curse or a hex?
I don't know the difference.
I don't know that I love going up against Tommy DeVito if you're cursed by the Italian American community.
Yeah, that was supposed to be Dom versus Tommy.
Oh, boy.
Tommy has goodwill now by going to that pizzeria.
I'm obviously making
most valuable paisan.
I imagine that DeMarcado is not Italian American, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, just massive delta both ways versus the defense you're facing. Hunter, I get it as far as like betting the Bears at their peak. It's still off a loss. I don't think we're quite at the peak for the Bears. I'm going to feel bad when Fields just does some stupid shit, but such is life.
He does feel like you can scheme him out of this one. We'll see. Okay. Yeah, no strong opinion in that game. I'm just going to not watch that one. Patriots and the Broncos are playing on Christmas Eve night, so you can avoid your family by watching a primetime game in the snow, Andy. Maybe. Calling at least for potential for precipitation and freezing temperatures. So we shall see. I've been flirting with the Patriots. I don't know, man. The Broncos offense just is not good enough, I don't think, to win by margin against a good Patriots defense. Patriots D is not quitting. I know that I am not stupid. Last week's game was in Foxborough. This week's game is in Mile High. The Chiefs were minus 7.5, Andy. And now you're telling me the Broncos are minus 6.5 against the Patriots? I'm not there. I'm not there.
I make it 5 and change. I still can't bet it. Seen some good Zappy. I've seen some bad Zappy. There's a lot of injuries, though, and they matter. Hunter and several receivers are still injured. Ramondre's still out. Like, it's
Hunter
still
is hurt?
Yeah, he hurt his knee. late in the first or early in the second. He was out for chunks of the second half. So Hunter Henry was become a big part of what Zappy does. I think that's what's key. This is so I'm with you. I kind of agree with you here, but I kind of want to wait and get some good reports from like a Thursday afternoon injury report on Hunter Henry, and I think Juju and
actually. You said the magic words. I have no interest in betting this game. I'm not into it.
There's one angle I may look at here, and this is kind of the like it doesn't feel good, but I might bet it anyway. This probably total's too high. Yeah.
Like, if Hunter Henry's not playing,
disgusting.
If Hunter Henry is not playing, it's 100% too high.
No touchdown is live, Milf Hunter. Yeah, like. This could be first team to 10 kind of thing, which is funny. The last time we had one of those games, it was the Chargers Raiders. Like, this total's dropping. It's going to get 33, and then the Raiders went over the total by themselves in the first half.
Yeah. Okay. So business. I had no other thoughts on this game. Zappy's an atrocity. Russell Wilson's not very good. Denver offense isn't very good. The Saturday night game is Bills. Oh, there's my thumbs up. Oh, never mind.
I saw it.
You saw it?
Yeah.
What in the world? What is that? Give us a thumbs up, I think. Is that what it's supposed to be saying? Can we give ourselves a thumbs up?
We look like
I can't.
Idiots.
I can't. Hey, no. So for number one, Saturday. I'm going to be on a plane. We can't do a halftime show for Bills Chargers. It's on Peacock anyway. Number two, Christmas Eve.
If you're in, I'm in.
9:30 at night, East Coast time. You want to go? Are we going to do like a? A reaction pod?
I'm not traveling until Christmas Day. I'm going to go to my mother's house.
You want to get Christmas Eve? You want to try to do it?
Everyone's going to be home. Do you guys think we should go halftime? I'm fine with it.
Okay. If people are into it, we'll do it.
I'm not going to be doing anything.
Christmas Eve is pretty boring.
We're going to have a charcuterie tray and chill out, probably watch Muppet Christmas Carol, and then watch the Sunday night game.
Okay. Halftime show for sure. Cannot guarantee we'll do the full reaction pod.
Full reaction pod might be fucking Tuesday, guys.
All right. Christmas Day, happy to do one for Ravens.
I'll be at my mother's, but I very much dislike her. So I would be we're just too similar. It's just, oil and water. Like we butt heads. Like I do not look forward to Christmas. This is my mother. It's always a fight. God bless her heart. I love her. I love my mother. I just do not like her.
Do not like her.
I do not like. I don't like talking to her sometimes. I love her. I love you. God, I almost said her name too. You don't know what her name is?
Mrs. Mulder.
Guesses. Ursula.
Grandma.
You know what's short for Ursula in German?
Ursi?
Ushi. So she is Grandma Ushi to the kid.
Ushi.
Grandma Ushi. We love you, Grandma Ushi. I'm sorry in case she's listening.
Okay.
Either way, I can't guarantee I could do all of them or any of them because I might be I can't just get up from the dinner table.
Yeah.
Although I've done that before when we get in a fight. We'll figure something out. I'm just around. I'm just going to be hanging at Grandma's.
All right. I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. You tell me side and total leans for.
Do you know how incredibly on market I am for all three Monday games?
No, forget the first two. Who gives a shit about the first two? Side and total for Niners, Ravens. You ready? 3, 2, 1.
Ravens
Niners over. Ooh. Okay. Ravens over for you. Niners over for me.
Okay. Do you want to do the other ones?
Yeah, sure. Ready? What's the first one again? First one is Chiefs Raiders. I think.
Why do we do an hour and 20 minutes? Why don't we just do this for every game?
We could be so much more efficient. We are wasting so much time, Andy.
All right, we got Las Vegas. Heading to Kansas City, getting 10 points. Total is 41.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Raiders
Kansas
under.
City under.
Ooh.
We're aligned on sides.
We're oppos on sides. We're aligned on total so
I
far.
just don't like the Raiders matchup here.
Okay.
I think it's like 21-3 kind of shit.
I think it's like 21-17 kind of shit. So I guess that would go over, right? I think it's like 20-17 type shit.
Giants, Philly, 42.5. Philly is laying a baker's dozen.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Philly under.
Giants over.
Oh, wow. Oppo head to head on that one.
You got in my head with the curse.
Yeah, that could be.
Now it's like
I didn't even think about the curse.
Now it's like DeVito. I just in my head, I'm like, what if DeVito scores like 25 points?
I don't actually believe that. I feel like there's a chance.
I do truthfully think it is a Philly bounce back game, and if I think the Giants can get in the back door against the secondary, though, it's a lot of points for that secondary.
I love it.
I think Philly has to score a ton. Although Tommy is very bad at sack avoidance, and they can throw wave after wave of pass rusher at you. So, like, if Tommy's upright, he backdoors this. If not, God, he could get sacked like 9 times, man.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not strong on any of those.
I don't like that Philly under correlates with expecting Matt Patricia to do a good job.
Out of the 6 things that we just said, the only one I really feel strongly about playing would be the San Francisco over.
Yes, same. That's the only thing I have played. I have 46
played that?
there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 46 there. That was why I watched that. That's why I watched that Jags game so closely, trying to find out if Zay Flowers actually broke his foot or not. Like, the weird thing about that on the rewatch, when you literally key on Zay Flowers on every down, I didn't know this, but Baltimore puts him in motion
constant.
85% of downs he was on the field, they put him in motion.
No, he basically
running downs.
He basically plays for the Dolphins.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't know what they were getting out of it. The Jags kind of were expecting it or were used to it. They weren't even reacting to it. I was like,
give me your breakdown.
Wow.
You get a little time. Not expect me home for a while. She's probably still stretching.
I just think both defenses match up poorly. I think that for all the reasons that Baltimore was a back last week against the Jags, they're not a back this week against the Niners because of the way the Niners attack you, where they attack you, and how many different styles of attack they can inflict on you. I think the Ravens are capable of answering against the San Francisco defense. I think this is one of those games where you're probably going to see a healthy amount of Lamar running. I don't know that I believe that Stanley is really not going to be available. If Ronnie Stanley's not available, all of a sudden now I'm feeling like a turd for playing it over because there's if Stanley and Flowers are no-goes for Baltimore, then this is toast.
It's kind of why I haven't played this. There's, and the other thing that sucks about this, it is, and we're I know it says Patriots Broncos on the screen, but we're talking San Francisco. It's a Monday game. You don't get a Wednesday injury report. You get some notes from beat reporters, you get some ideas, but they don't have to put an injury report out until Thursday. So I'm pumping the brakes. I'm willing to say I'll play a 48 here if I have to wait and hear that the Baltimore's healthy.
So I played 46 early because I wanted to get him before 47.
I'm not so worried about getting a good number here. Like if it's healthy, this cruises into the 50s.
Yeah, I don't think.
We just saw a Cardinals team kind of march on this defense.
Yeah. Right. That's right.
And like we said when we talked Jags, the Jags should have scored a lot more.
They should have.
A lot of that was shooting themselves in the foot.
Honestly, you know what recent game this really reminds me of? Ravens, except that you have a better team even than the Rams. What was that? Overtime 31-31?
Yeah, 37-31 that ended.
Yeah. That honestly
cruised into the 60s.
That cruised. And it was in bad weather. So if you have the type of attack and the style of attack that the Rams have, which the Niners have squared, you can absolutely make this Ravens defense hurt.
Yeah, I'm glad. A lot of agreements this week, except on I almost said Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers.
Tommy
They're
DeVito
both,
is our only
they're both
strong
assholes.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Fucking Aaron
No, I
Rodgers.
mean, Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre apparently are bad. Dude.
I think Brett Favre is probably worse.
Yeah, dude, he stole a lot of money.
He stole
from, like,
money
charity.
from poor people.
It's
Yeah,
one thing to like.
really fucked up.
Are you familiar with the film Ant-Man?
Yes.
You know how he goes to jail, but it was like a
Well, I
white
haven't
collar
seen
crime against. It was white collar crime against like a bad company.
Oh, okay.
That he still goes to jail. It's fair. He should still go to jail, but like that's honorable almost. It's honorable crime, and I love Ant-Man. He's my favorite character in the whole Marvel universe, which sucks now. That thing fell off. That fell off. Like who's a player that fell off?
Russell Westbrook.
Russell Westbrook. Terrible. You should see the Darko on the Marvel
Darko on
universe.
Ant-Man.
It's
The Dark Mo
horrible.
on the
Oh, even Ant-Man. Ant-Man 3 is fucking horrible. But either way, what Brett Favre did was like rough. I mean, that's like punching an old lady. We're gonna find out what we should in the comments. Let me know what you think Love's crime will be in about 20 years. what does Jordan Love turn to when he becomes the villain after 15 years with the Packers? Because apparently that's a thing.
I love it, man. All right, dude.
Hey, before we go,
Christmas Eve.
Yeah, before we go, hit the thumbs up. I really love that. That's all I want for Christmas. The other thing I would like as a gift from you guys is you did it again. I thought you were making shit up. I legitimately thought you were just baked out of your gourd and seeing shit. Like
what's even weird is it's like a thought bubble that's coming out of my head doing it.
I thought you just had glaucoma, man. like you had floaters in front of your eyes or something.
I'm glaucoma.
No, we were nominated for a podcast award.
Oh yeah.
If I'll put the link in the description, but if you are so inclined, it only takes a second. If you want to go vote for us, I think we can win a podcast award. I don't know. We're up against some stiff competition.
Yeah, we're up against a lot of fantasy competition.
Yeah, there's like weird. One is like the Fantasy Footballers DFS show, and they have a massive audience. Yeah, we're gonna get smoked, but I'd like to have a good showing. So if you get a chance, go vote. I'll put it in the show notes. Happy holidays if you celebrate any of the Judeo-Christian traditions. Happy Boxing Day if you are one of our
happy solstice if you're a pagan.
If you are a pagan, the solstice is tomorrow on the 21st. Happy birthday to my dad. He turned 65 today. Happy birthday, Jerry. I already called him. Fantasy is, I hate fantasy so much. I still play. And that's about it, guys. Have a good holiday season. We'll be back for freaking New Year's Eve, Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah. Let's do it, man. That will be that could get weird because I'm going to be not clear-eyed.
I grabbed a few bottles of it's cheap, but I like it. What's the name? It's a man's name that starts with J, and they make like $20 wines. Justin. The isosceles. Did you get the isosceles? I bought a few different ones.
Cab?
Decent Cab Sauv.
Yeah, Justin's
two
great.
thumbs is fireworks. Do 2 thumbs. What is going on? I feel like I'm. Oh, there's Josh too. Josh and Justin.
What in the world? The Justin is from Paso. It's excellent.
Yeah.
And
Josh. I've had Josh. Do 2 thumbs down. See what happens.
It's gonna be like a shit show. Oh, thunderstorms! Oh,
what is going on?
What in the hell?
Give me the finger. Give me the finger. It doesn't do anything. I'm just gonna clip this though.
Double fingers? No. Doesn't do it either.
All right, we got to call it. Thanks for joining us live. If you did, thanks for listening to the podcast. If you did, I hope you had a great year as we wind down this season. Good luck this weekend with all your bets. Again, find us on Twitter. Find us in the Discord. Find me. Follow the newsletter. Follow the Twitters. Follow it all. Jam on. See you next week.
Do you know where the closing music is?
Mm-mm.
Hang on a second.
I do.
You found it. We don't use some of these other ones enough, like the smash sound effect. That was fun.